Hi everyone, and welcome to this talk about our Koch mechanizations of Sierpinski's theorem that the generalized continuum hypothesis implies the axiom of choice, which was joint work with Felix Rech. So in this short talk, which is basically the beginning of the long talk you also find online, I quickly run through the statement itself, the proof idea, and the actual settings we have been looking at. So starting with the statement, what is the generalized continuum hypothesis? This is a set theoretic principle stating that there are no cardinalities between any infinite set and its power set. So more formally, if we have a set X, which is infinite by admitting an injection from the nature numbers, and we have a second set Y, which is squeezed in between X and X's power set, then one of those cardinality comparisons must be invertible. So either Y is already below X, or the power set of X is below Y. Now turning to the axiom of choice, there's of course a lot of equivalent formulations, and the one we choose for now is that every total relation contains the graph of a function. So if a binary relation is provably total, then there exists a function f which is contained in the relation. So let's look at the proof idea you can find in the standard textbooks. So first of all, you don't directly show AC, you show the equivalent well-ordering theorem, stating that every set can be well ordered. And this is further simplified by the fact that when well ordering X, it suffices to find a well ordered Y, which is larger because well orders transport back along injections. So in particular, we can only restrict to infinite sets because every set embeds into an infinite set. So now it in total suffices to, using GCH, show that every infinite set can be well ordered. And this remaining part is split into two parts. So the first part is concerned with a central construction called the Hartogs number, which is a large well order, large in the sense that it does not inject into the set we start with, but also it has controlled height. So the height, the size of the Hartogs number is bounded by a k-fold iteration of the power set, where k depends on the actual construction we choose. And now the second part will be to squeeze in this Hartogs number so that we can apply GCH to it, and this k times. So in total, we arrive at an embedding of X into its Hartogs number, and by this we can well order X and are done. All right, so if you want to mechanize such a high-level proof idea in a proof assistant, you of course first have to clarify what the notions involved are. And those here are the notions that were involved in the statement and the high-level proof idea. And then if you work in a system like Koch, in Koch's type theory, you actually have two versions how you can approach these formal notions. The first and unsurprising version is, of course, to axiomatize some variant of set theory, because then you have all these notions available. The other, and maybe a bit more unexpected version, is that Koch itself can represent all these notions. So you can in fact formulate Sierpinski's theorem also as a type theoretic statement, and then have a look at this without an intermediate axiomatization. So, and why are we doing both of these approaches in our paper? Well, the first gives just another example of finding a good way how to represent axiomatic set theory in type theory, because there are options how this can be done. And the second one gives us just insights about type theory itself. So this just means it's another instance of two foundations being on an abstract level comparable enough so that results can be transported from one into the other. All right, so now I have plan to give you a quick glimpse into these two settings. So first, the set theoretic setting. This is normally done by axiomatizing a model of set theory. So we assume a type which represents the types of sets, and then we add enough structure so we can interpret the axioms of Zermelo-Fraenkel set theory. And when we reach one particular axiom, namely the replacement axiom, then there is a decision that can be made. Namely, the replacement axiom normally asserts the existence of the mapping of a functional relation on a set. And this functional relation is in the standard formulation a first order formula with two variables. And so to formulate this axiom, we need a notion of first order logic, its syntax and its semantics. And this is, of course, a bit requires some work. And this work is actually unnecessary because, of course, in Coq we have logic available. And so it is natural to express replacement in a higher order way, where we just can't quantify over all binary relations that are expressible in Coq's type theory. And by this, we arrive at an axiomatization which is convenient to work with because we can reuse the meta-level structure to define relations. We don't have to encode them as first-order formulas if we apply the replacement axiom. And it's also direct to state the replacement axiom itself. And if we do this decision, we can also streamline some of the other axioms and then obtain the axiomatization we have used in this paper. All right, so looking at the second setting, here we work in type theory itself to represent set theory. And that's of course not a new idea, so it's well known that some set theoretic results apply to type theory, for instance, the equivalence of the well-ordering theorem and the axiom of choice itself. And in particular in type theories in the family of Coq's type system, where you have an impredicative universe of propositions, are really well suited to represent set theory, because you do have a notion of power set available by the type of unary predicates, and also you have an anonymous propositional existence where the witness of an existence can be hidden in the proof. So in particular, a notion of cardinality comparisons based on the existence of injective functions can be given, which is a proposition. So there is no computational content that can be extracted. Also, this type theory is consistent with unique choice, which is somewhat hardwired in set theory. And so by assuming unique choice, you make your life representing set theory a bit easier. All right, so in this setting, let me give you an idea of how it works by showing how GCH and AC can be represented. For GCH, we just have to clarify what we quantify over and what the power set is. And unsurprisingly, we can quantify over all types, and the power set is the unary predicate type. And for the axiom of choice, we have to clarify what relations and functions are. And of course, we can just use the type level variants of those. And of course, note that here it's now really crucial that we have propositional existence available, so that this axiom is not trivial. All right, so in summary, if you want to represent set theory and type theory, there's a spectrum of at least 3 levels. You have the very low level first order representation with the standard set theoretic encoding of all abstract notions. And you also have the type theoretic level available, where you can express a lot of set theory itself. And in between, you have the bridging higher order set theory, where both of these levels coincide. So by rephrasing Quine, one could say that higher order set theory is type theory in sheep's clothing. Okay, I want to end with this slide explaining what we have actually done in our paper. So we are not the first to mechanize Sierpinski's theorem in a proof assistant. This has already been done by Mario Carneiro using MetaMath based on a library of first order set theory. And now what we do is we complement this with 3 alternative proofs in Coq. The first alternative is still set theoretic, but we use higher order set theory instead. So we can still show the argument in the normal fashion, but we can also use type theoretic expressivity. And afterwards, we show that the result is actually applicable to Coq itself. First, further extended with unique choice, so that the argument is closer to the set theoretic version. And then we show that even unique choice can be eliminated. Okay, and I leave you with this link here where you can find the paper preprint, you can find the Coq files and HTML documentation. And you can also have a look at the full talk if you want, where I would now continue explaining the proof more detailed in both of the settings. So thanks very much. and I'm looking forward to the discussion.